This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for Just for the Spell of It with Gary Moss. And, I've been reading your blogs this week, obviously, because I go in and I make sure that they're edited and, you know, uh, looking really pretty. But some of your blogs this week had nothing to do with Scrabble.
I got caught up in the politics of the day, and many of the things that are happening touched my core values. And so I ended up spouting out that kind of response. And I was a little annoyed with myself that I was doing it, but at the same time, I felt driven to say what I said. So I hope I didn't turn off some of you out there. I do know that we don't all stand on the same side when it comes to politics, religion, and things like that. But I don't feel like I want to apologize for my position. And I just hope it isn't a turn off so people will, just click off.
Well, one of the things I personally saw in there, and, I appreciate that you took another path. And I'm hoping that, the people who are coming onto your page feel the same way. And as you wrote earlier today, you've hit another milestone with people coming to your website. So I think they're getting a little bit of everything they need out of it. And just like we may not always agree with politics, we may not always agree in the game of Scrabble. I mean, there are some
That's
people,
true.
I
Yep.
remember when you first started playing Scrabble, I guess I want to call it competitively, um, our parents thought you were out of your mind. Why are you
Yeah.
spending all this time? There's got to be something better to do. And the
Hmm.
reality of it is, we have to follow our passions. And that's what you do with Scrabble, with words. And you've always been a wordsmith. So,
Yeah. So, yeah. And I do notice when I think of what I shared yesterday, um, there are divisions within Scrabble, as you said. And one of the things I want to talk about today is kind of focusing on the people who are new to the game or are at the novice end of the spectrum,
okay.
because they have a lot of joy that they find in it in the game, and uh, they play the game very differently than folks like me who have been playing it so long and are so competitive that they want to reach that higher level. Everybody doesn't want to play that way, and I understand that. And so today, I'd like to just reflect on some of the ways that we can do things closer to the beginner's level and still improve our game
Okay.
and expand our game. So, one of the things that all Scrabble players, even at the lowest end, really have to know, and this might be a turnoff to some people who play kitchen table Scrabble. I've met some of those people, and when I tell them they really should learn the 107 two-letter words, they become offended. Well, I can't do that, they'll say. Well, that's not true. We can all do whatever we put our minds to doing.
Sure.
And do we absolutely, is it a must if you don't learn the 107 two-letter words, you're not permitted to play? That's not true either. But we should be aware, number one, that there are 107 two-letter words. And why learn two-letter words that they're not very long? They can't produce that many points. But when you know the two-letter words, you can take whatever word on your rec and then possibly hook it onto something that's already on the board.
Right.
Right. So let's learn the two-letter words. And there are a lot of ways to learn two-letter words. You can write a list, and I always do it alphabetically. So I start with AA, and then I think to myself, is that a two-letter word? And if I'm not sure, I'll look in the dictionary. And when we look in the official dictionary, we have to go to the red volume that's available at bookstores, Official Scrabble Players Dictionary, OSPD, and 6th edition. Always use the most current edition.
Okay.
If you were to go back and use, let's say, the 4th edition, that was put out in 1995, let's say. Well, there are frequent updates to the dictionary. And the most recent one, I believe, was put out in 2014. And there'll probably be another one in a few years. So right now we're using the 6th edition. And if we looked up AA, it would say it's cindery lava. It's lava from a volcano.
Okay.
So AA is good. After AA, I'll look AB. Is AB good? I'll look in the dictionary if I'm not sure. And it's a muscle, an ab. AC, I look in the dictionary. Nope, AC is not there. I look, well, I don't even have to look up AD because
Right.
I know what an ad is.
Right.
AE. So do you see how I'm going
Right.
through
Sure.
the dictionary and I'm writing down a list as I go along? And if it's important to me to know what the word means, because I always meet people who say, I can't remember something if I don't know what it means.
Okay.
So having looked up AA, now I know it's lava. I can write that down. And so I no longer have the excuse that I can't remember AA.
Okay. Okay.
And if I go through the process, it might take me a half an hour to an hour to get through the whole AA to AZ. And then after you finish the ones that begin with A, then you have to go BB,
Right.
BC, BD, etc. So after whatever amount of time, I've completed the task. Now, you don't have to do it in one sitting. If when you finish the A's, you're too tired, put it aside and make a note for yourself how far you are. And then the next time, go back and pick it up where you left off.
Sure.
A lot of people complain to me that they don't have enough time for all of this. Well, you don't have to do it all in one sitting. And if your limit is 15 minutes at a time, do it 15 minutes at a time. If you can handle a half an hour or an hour at a time, do that. But don't do it so long that you're going to burn yourself out.
Right.
That's another mistake some of us make. We get so into it that we keep going until we're satisfied that our project is complete. But there's a downside in that too. If you overdo it, you'll burn yourself out, or you'll think to yourself the next time, oh, if I get into this, it's going to take up my day. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. So you make a plan of what's comfortable for you. And now after a while, you complete the plan. So you have all 107 two-letter words. Some people like to work from a list. Other people would rather work from flashcards. So now here's how I make my flashcards. I make 26 flashcards because there's 26 letters in the alphabet.
Sure.
On the first one, I'll put an A on the front. I'll turn the card over and I'll put all the words that are 2 letters long that begin with the letter A.
Okay.
There will be others that will end with the letter A, but the A on the front is going to represent all the words that begin with the letter A.
Okay.
And so on the back, I'll have A B, A E, A G, and so on. And there's quite a few additional ones. Then I'll go to card B. And on the back, I'll have B A, B E, B I, B O, B Y. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll eventually have these 26 cards all with on the back, they'll have the 2 letter words that begin with this letter. Now, when I get to C, there aren't any. Now, should I have a card for C in the group anyways, even if it doesn't have an answer?
I think you should, because when you're studying, okay,
Yeah,
going back and looking at them, it's going to be that reminder there are no words with C.
absolutely. So I'll have a card on the front will be a C, and on the back, no answer
Yeah.
or nothing, or however you want to create it. And we'll have the same experience when we get to the letter V.
Okay.
V does not have a 2 letter word. And some people will say, well, Q doesn't have a two. Well, Q does
QI.
have a 2 letter, QI.
Yep.
And what about X?
There's XI and I believe XU.
Yeah, those are 2 X words. So the only ones in the stack of 26 that don't have an answer are C and V.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have our 26 flashcards. Now here's what I do once I have all the information. I take out a sheet of paper and I write down a list from A to Z, A, B, C, D, going down the list.
Okay.
And this, I might make copies of this because this is going to be part of me testing myself
Okay.
to see if I know all of those. You know, we've written them down, we've put them on flashcards, but there are 107 of them, and some of them are not words that you would normally have in your vocabulary. Like, do you know that HM is a 2 letter word?
You know, I found that out um, recently when I was playing Words with Friends.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I saw a hook and I had an H and an M, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought, what the heck, I can't lose anything. This is not playing an actual Scrabble game where I'm going to lose a turn. And when I saw that it worked, that stuck in my mind. And now I've been able to play that. Yeah.
Well, that's the best way to learn because when you play something or you challenge someone else on something, that puts another level of in your head to remember. So now we have all these pages, A through Z, and we have several copies. Well, I'm going to recommend that if you do this, you do it once a day or once every other day to reinforce the information that you have. Now, I'll also take out a timer and I'll put that on the table where I have one of these sheets.
Okay.
I begin the timer, and then once the timer is running, I go to the letter A, and on it, next to it, I'll write all the words that begin with A. A B, A E, A D, etc.
Okay.
And then the timer's still running, and I go to the letter B, and I write B A, B E, B I, etc. And I do all the way to Z. And when I completed my list, I stopped the timer.
Okay.
Be sure you don't hit reset because you'll lose the number. Or
Yeah.
maybe before you stop the timer, look at it
And Mark,
and right at the bottom of your page, how much time you spent getting from A to Z. And let's say it says 10 minutes, 15 seconds. So I'll write 10, 15 on my paper,
sure.
stop the clock. Now go back to either your list or your flashcards and check yourself, correct your paper.
Okay.
So on AA, I'm not sure how many there are, but you can give yourself credit for every one that's correct.
Okay.
If you have, let's say you wrote AC on there, which is not correct,
Right.
circle it.
Okay.
And so now the bad answers are circled. Now see if any are missing.
Okay.
Let's say you missed 2. Put down the number 2 with a circle around it. So
Okay.
now you can look back at A and see that you forgot about 2 and you had 1 incorrect. And you do that with all the numbers. And then at the very bottom of the page where you put the amount of time it took you, you will put down the total number correct, the total number incorrect, and the total number missed.
Okay.
All right. Now, what you want to do is that you'll do this every time you test yourself, once every day or once every other day. And you're going to shoot, hopefully, you'll eventually know 107. But you want to, at a minimum, know 100 of the 107. And you want to be able to do this A through Z in a minimum or a maximum, I should say, of 5 minutes
Okay.
or less. 5 minutes or less. And you'll find that you become better and better and better. It might take you a month to achieve this. It might take you 6 months to achieve it. It doesn't matter. The fact that you're doing it, you're expanding your memory and you're becoming better. Is
Absolutely.
that fairly clear?
It is, and I have to tell you, I use this sort of learning this past week. So I've gone back and I'm working on the weekends as an IT rep. And so I have all this training that I'm taking. And I used to look at the training as being very tedious. Boy, I'm going to have to listen, read this for 5 minutes and then I'm going to have to take a quiz. And my brain doesn't remember all those things. But I did something that you talked about, and that's the flashcards and lists. Because I know that there's key words on every one of the slides. And so I wrote the keywords down, and then on the back of the card, I wrote down the points that went with the keywords. And I realized when I went to take the quiz, I understood the training. It wasn't like I had to take it a second and a third time. And now I have those flashcards that I can take to work with me if I need to, and glance at them. But your concept of learning and repetitive, looking at things over and over again
Mm-hmm.
has made such a difference that I
Yeah.
realized that if I had been doing this as a school kid,
Hmm.
probably would have graduated with honors.
Well, that's very true. And I'm surprised that no one really taught us that way. And the fact that you've taken something that you learned and you transposed it to work in real time in a life situation, you can see how it works. And what I'd like to suggest to parents that are listening and to grandparents that are listening, you can introduce this to people in your family
Sure.
who are still involved in studying and in learning things. And it doesn't just apply to words. The flashcard system. Let's say you were learning about American history. Okay. So there are always these questions that come up that you have to provide an answer to.
Sure.
Sometimes a single word answer, sometimes the year that an event happened, sometimes you have to write a short answer or an essay to something. Train your student to write the question on the front of the flashcard and the answer on the back. There are always, there's like a pretest during the week where there are bunches of questions, and many of those questions are used on the final test,
Right.
or maybe just a different version of it. And as you're going through, on the front, write a question, on the back, write an answer. Now you've got the flashcards in your hand. That's your study tool
Right.
because it's too cumbersome to have the book in front of you with, you know, 15 pages of text,
Right.
and you sort of get lost in it. But when you have the key points on your flashcard, you can use that. And that's what we're doing with this simple learning 2-letter words. And you can apply it to math, you can apply it to history, you can apply it to learning chemistry symbols, you can apply it to anything.
Right.
So go for it and use the system over and over again. So now let's say we've completed it, the 2-letter words, and we've spent a month or a month and a half, and we finally got this down. So now what do? You go to the next step. What would be a logical next step after 2-letter words?
How about 3-letter words?
Now, that's a very good answer, but there's
Wrong.
something actually between the 2 and the 3-letter words.
Would that be hooks?
Hooks to the 2-letter words.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so let's explain what a hook is. A hook is a single letter that you can put in front of a 2-letter word, or it can be a single letter that you can put after a 2-letter word that creates a real word. So let's take the first 2-letter word, which is AA, and let's stop and think. Is there any letter where we could say something AA? Well, AAA is Automobile Club of America, but it's not a word. Okay.
I don't think that's right.
Okay. How about BAA?
Bob. So that's the sound of an animal.
Yeah, that's something a sheep might say, BAA. And if I'm not sure whether that sound would be in the dictionary, I'll use my dictionary again and I'll look and I'll see, by golly, BAA is good. All right. So remember when we learned the 2-letter words, we made a list of
Right.
everything? Well, now on our test sheet, I'm going to make a list of all the 2-letter words, all 107.
Okay.
And they're not all going to fit on a single page.
Right.
So I'm going to go AA, AB, AE, AD, AE, and so on. And it might take 3 pages.
Sure.
Now, instead of putting AA at the left-hand side of the page, I'm going to put these 2-letter words down the middle
I get it. So you can
because we're going to add letters for in front of AA and behind AA.
got it.
So now in front of AA, I'm going to write the letter B,
Okay.
and I'm going to write any other letters that will also work in front of AA, okay?
Okay.
So CAA, DAA, EAA, FAA, GAA, HAA,
How about
IAA, etc.
yeah.
Is there any other letter besides B that that letter AA makes a 3-letter word?
I thought LAA.
No,
Okay. Then I don't know.
there isn't any.
Oh, okay.
Now we're going to go on the other side of AA,
Okay.
and we're going to think of 3-letter words. AAA, no. AAB, no. AAC, no. Does AA have any 3-letter words that
I
will
don't I don't think so.
well, there are
Okay.
some. AAH. Now you might have to use your dictionary to
Sure.
figure these out. There is a list, well, it's actually a page, and it's called the cheat sheet.
Okay.
Now, anybody who wants a copy of the cheat sheet, send me a request in an email. I will send you the cheat sheet,
Okay.
and you won't even have to spend your time
But
on
the
your own going through the dictionary to find them. However, I will say this: when you spend the time doing it yourself and creating it, that is part of the learning process.
sure.
And so you'll learn it at a deeper level when you do it yourself. But if you're too impatient to do that, send me your request and I will send you a
Cheat sheet.
cheat
Okay.
sheet by email,
Okay.
and then you can print it out and have it. So with AA, I said H was good.
Okay.
L is good,
Hmm.
and AAS is good.
Okay.
AAS is the plural of AA.
Oh,
Lava, lavas.
okay.
I think AAL is a tree, and AAH is ah.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so you get this now?
Yes.
We have the 2-letter list in the center, and we're going to look up which letters fit in front to create 3 letters and which letter fits behind to create letters. So that's going to give us all the 3-letter words that are either front hooks or back hooks of the twos. Now, there are other 3-letter words that are words, but they don't, it's not a hook. Okay, so let's think of words that have AA, but it's not a front hook or a back hook. So the 3rd letter has to be in the middle between them.
Okay.
A something A.
So AHA I know is a word.
Say again.
AHA.
AHA, yes. All
Um,
right. That's a 3-letter word, but not from hooking. Yes.
oh, I see what you're saying. Oh,
Yeah. AHA is perfect. So other combinations where you can put some letter between the two A's.
Okay.
ABA is good. ABBA.
And
AHA is good.
right. How about ALA?
ALA is good.
Okay.
AMA is good. ANA is good.
Hmm.
So I'm going to put these kind of words on a separate sheet and just title it 3-letter words.
Okay.
All right. So we got down to N, AWA is good. AVA is good.
That's going to be a good one to remember because I always seem to have two A's and a V. Don't know what to do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now you got them on a list. If flashcards is the way you learn, put them on flashcards. Put AA on the front and put these other words on the back. 3-letter words, but not from books.
Okay.
And there are a lot of them. There are many of them. And when you get finished with that list, all right, let's say the next one would be something be.
Right.
Are there any words that fit that pattern?
Um, well, BOB is easy.
Right?
BUB.
Yeah.
Um,
BUB.
um, I don't know if BAB is.
Not BAB, but BIB.
Oh, okay, for bib. Okay.
So we got those 3 for B. Um, C blank C.
Hmm. I don't think so.
No, there aren't any. So you get the idea.
Right.
And, oh, I don't know, this might take another month, a month and a half. Now, as you're learning these, you play them when you're playing,
Right.
because that's another level of ingraining them into your memory. Now, you're working on these 3-letter words now. Once a week, at least, maybe twice a week, go back and take one of those 2-letter tests that we did last month, because you want to keep them in your memory. If you stop doing them entirely, some of them are going to float out of memory.
Right.
It's weird how that happens, because you knew all 107, and now a month later, without reviewing them, now you only know 95. So you have to keep spaced repetition. Go back and review. And you don't have to review them every day. You might not have to review them every week, but at some schedule, and you'll know how often you need to review, because when you see you're slipping up, you better start reviewing or you're going to lose all that hard work.
Well,
But
it's
it
interesting.
builds sort
Yeah.
of.
So when we had Nancy on the show,
Yeah.
one of the things that she talked about was that she took your Scrabble 101 class, and there were things that she was doing regularly, and she had not been doing them, and she realized that that was something that she wanted to go back and do again because
Yeah,
it would reinforce things. And so,
absolutely.
you know,
And you know, part of the way the mind works and the memory works is it forgets things that aren't done at some kind of regular interval.
exactly.
Now, let's talk about other things we can do other than studying, because I know for some people this feels like it's too much like studying.
Yep.
So, um, have you ever played the game Anagrams?
I'm not good at it, so I stay away from it.
Okay.
But
Well, the way the game of anagrams works, we take these tiles, uh, and in anagrams, I remember they were on cardboard squares the size of Scrabble tiles. And we put them all face down on the board and we mix them up. And you can do this with your set of Scrabble tiles. You
okay,
don't have to do it with a specified anagram set. So they're all down. So you flip over two and you see, can you create a two-letter word with these two? And if you can't, you flip up one more and you keep looking at the ones that are exposed till you can create a two-letter word. When
okay,
you can, you remove those two from the pack, put them together as the word, and put the word on the side.
okay,
Now you flip another tile. Can that tile be added to the two-lettered word to make a new word? So let's say we had the two-letter word AN, and now we flip up a tile that is an M.
so now we can make man.
We can make man, MAN, or we can make NAM, which is a Scrabble word.
Okay,
And so now we have a three-letter word. Now, if you're playing with another person, when you flip up your next tile, you can steal their word if you can make a
oh,
longer word with this new letter.
okay,
And so when you're playing competitive anagrams, you're always looking to steal the other person because when all the tiles are gone, whoever has the most words in front of them, is the
right,
winner. So let's say you had a N and I turned over an M and now I make the word man.
okay.
But let's say you turn over an E.
So now I can take it back and make it either mean or main.
Right, exactly.
Name, yeah,
Yeah. So sometimes we'll end up with going back and forth, stealing the word. We might end up with an 8 or 9 letter word at the end of the game. That becomes a lot of fun, and it's sort of taxing your brain to think about the same way we look at a rack of 7 letters
right,
and we switch the letters around and we see some words, but there are other longer words there.
right.
And you can do this focusing on creating 2 letter words, 3 letter words, or playing it as far as you can go. Now, there are many other learning things you can do while you're doing that. You might give yourself permission and grace to look in your dictionary to see if you can create a longer word. And play this as solitaire with yourself, always challenging yourself or pushing yourself to look for another word. Look in the dictionary. When you have 4 letters, there's probably about 8 or 9 ways those 4 tiles can be rearranged. All right, so think of the word uh, oh, main, MAIN.
Okay.
Well, there aren't 8 or 9 in that, but there's at least one more that I can see.
I don't, MAIN, so MINA, Mina?
I think Mina is a word, but I think it's MENA. But AMIN, Amin, which is the same as Amen,
Okay.
AMIN. So uh, it's it is. You would think to yourself, is this a word? Well, when you're not sure, you
You
go look it up.
absolutely, yeah.
The looking it up is another level of sinking it deeper in your memory. So here we have a whole bunch of different games, game-like things, in different ways to learn words, study words, review words, and it's not brain surgery to do this, but you'll find that if you use the information that you learn in the games that you play online or with other folks, that you will have jumped a level.
Yep.
And that's the goal, to keep moving up the ladder.
Today was quite interesting in that I think I told you before we came online. I did another podcast with a group, and we were talking about the anxiety that many of us are going through with COVID, weather changes, the election, and just normal life things. And um, as you and I started talking, I started thinking about people may not want to think of this as studying new words or learning new words, but having fun, create a game. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I took from a number of our podcasts when I had to start this study bit for myself. It was like, I can sit here and I can make this very difficult for myself and try to read and memorize. So when I go to take the quiz, I pass it,
Mm-hmm.
or I can turn it into a game.
Right.
Soon as I did that, I mean, I've been walking around like a proud peacock the last couple of days because it's like, wow, look what I can do. Um,
Yeah.
and it's simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good luck with your studying in your class.
Well, thank you. I will know more tomorrow when I'm in my store and I'm assisting people, and the right information comes out of my mouth. Um, and if I make a mistake, I'm just going to have to say, excuse me, I got to go look that up, just as you would in the dictionary, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
See? So it all works the same.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again for another wonderful podcast. And we will be back again next week. And we'll learn something new and different then. Okay.
Great.
Have a
Take
good,
care. Stay safe.
you too. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.